Coming off the bye week, any update on Kirby Ennis, and also wanted to check in on Floyd Raven too.
Kirby is going to have surgery and he will be done for the year. So that's something that we discussed. I should have updated you at the end of last week. I said last week we didn't have any press, but you know, he had an ACL tear on top of the cartilage, which we gave him the option, and so he's just going to get that fixed, and that'll be it for him. Floyd Raven, we'll see what happens. You know, we're on top of 4 weeks. You know, the way things are right now. We'll monitor that situation. He could probably play, but I don't know how much practice he's going to get at this point. He practiced last week, and but was non-contact. So we'll see where we are this week with him and what he can do. I would say, you know, day by day this week, and probably probable for the week after that. So that's about the biggest injury report I've ever given.
I know, I appreciate it.
Since you deal with so many high school coaches with what you do, what was it about Clarence McKinney that caught your eye when he was at Jack Yates High School? And obviously he's really progressed since then with you.
It was before Jack Yates. He was at Booker T. Washington and, as an offensive coordinator when I was at Purdue and Minnesota, coming down to Houston to recruit. And he was a guy who was always inquisitive about new ideas offensively, and we talked about different things. And you know, he moved on from there to North Shore, and I've known him for a while, not just, you know, across the street at Jack Yates when I was at Houston. The interesting thing is, all those years, whether I was at Purdue for 3 years or Minnesota a couple years, and even in Oklahoma, I never got a player from him. So, you know, that ruins the theory that you got to get players from a guy to hire it. You know, I'd see guys go all over the place that we never got. So I didn't hold that against him, you know, which tells you that I had a bunch of confidence in his knowledge and his reputation, and you know, I think you know, the rest is history. And he, you know, when I first got the job at Houston, I called him and told him about the situation to see if he'd be interested. And obviously he was there the next day. So it's worked out from there. He's a tremendous recruiter. He's got great presence with our kids. He's got a great way to communicate with our players, with the community, and you know, he knows Houston like the back of his hand. He's a guy who grew up there, played there, coached there, has a respect of high school coaches, you know, in that community. So he's a great fit. He's a great fit for us, and we'll be a really good head coach someday.
Is it accurate to describe him as scholarly?
Scholarly, yeah. Well, you know, that's okay. Just because he wears glasses doesn't mean he's a scholar. I say that all the time. I can put some glasses on too. You're not going to call me scholarly?
No.
That's me.
All right, I'll let Bill go in the back. Coach,
Is he scholarly right there? Is that what that
Definitely
means?
not.
There goes up there. I'm just old coach.
Coach, how big was last year's win in Oxford, and how you guys were able to come back in the fourth quarter and overcome all those turnovers?
You know, you can point back to that and say that was a pretty big deal based on, you know, I wasn't here the year before, but that's all I heard about was how that game, I think we would have lost that game. And, you know, I think the emotion that was in the locker room, the sigh of relief to go on and win in our first road game in the SEC, you know, was a big deal. And at the time, everybody said, well, it's just, you know, you beat a team that hadn't won very much. That team ended up being a thorn in everybody's side and full of talent and being a tough team to beat. So, you know, I understand that, and you make steps as a program, and there are things you point back to that are you know, steps in your growth, and certainly us going on the road and winning our first SEC game last year on the road was a big deal for this program and a step in the right direction. So, yeah, I think it's, you know, like as I said the year before, I wasn't here, but I've heard all the stories about you know what had happened and the mindset that those types of football games, you know, we wouldn't win. So there was a lot of emotion after the game, and rightfully so. And you know, I think there's no doubt that it helped us gain confidence as the season went on. But I think that game helped us gain confidence, you know, certainly at a time where we needed it.
How has Mike Matthews progressed in his first 5 games as a starter, and how valuable was the playing time he earned last year to get to this point?
Yeah, I think Mike is, you know, he's kind of a blueprint for what we do at certain positions. You know, the decision was made last year that to play him in a backup role to Pat. If something happened to Pat, then we would have a center, number one, but number two, guys prepare differently when they're redshirted than when they're playing. You know, if you spend the whole week being Ole Miss's center, you know, you don't really know what's going on in our offense. So, you know, you spend that whole year preparing and working on our offense and having the chance to play as much as he did last year in the second halves of those games. You know, he prepared differently. He understood the pace of play. He understood the tempo, understood playing games. It really worked out well for him. I think he has really, really progressed. And his ability to diagnose and get us lined up, get us operating in the right direction, handle things on the road, handle things at home. You know, again, you know, he's. I think he is ahead of the curve when you're talking about a first-year starter in this league as a center. You know, for what he's done so far, I think anybody in our league would take him right now. If you say, you know, you're 5-6 games in and you're starting a first-year center with how he's played and the lack of mistakes that he's made. And how he's got us targeted in the right way, I think I couldn't be happier with his development.